Order a meeting of the Athens City Planning Commission on the 4th of June, 2020. There are 4 members present and some trying to get present. And we have the mayor, we have the service safety director, we have Christy and myself, 4 people here. Now we're going to move to the minutes from the previous meeting. I wasn't here, but 3 people that could vote, I guess.
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Yeah.
I will second.
Well, you're good. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
301. Not here. I wasn't here. Okay. There are the minutes from the next meeting also. The 2nd of May. Now what's the other one? Oh, well. Well, in that case,
Nancy, it's the 7th of May meeting, and those are the only minutes. I believe you were present at that meeting.
well, my goodness, then I'll change my vote to yes, to approval. All right. Seems like it's been a century ago, but that's okay. Now, the next thing on the agenda is the 2 communications starting with 10 Mill Iron. Is that correct? And so we'll go to David Riggs first.
Thanks, Nancy. The appellant is requesting a modification to a PUD plan at 10 Mill Iron that was approved by City Council July of 1991. There was a ordinance 0-26-91 that approved that PUD at the time. They're proposing revisions which include merging buildings A, B, and C into one structure and addition of covered patio decks along the rear of that merged building.
And in addition to that, go ahead. I was going to say, in addition to that, is there anything else like a gymnasium or a weight building or something like that?
Okay, Nancy, this is Richard Schultz. I can explain it a little more with specifics.
Hang on, Richard. Where are you?
Okay.
Okay, well, you swear to tell the truth, you and Dan DeLuca and anyone else that's going to speak. Swear to tell the truth. So help you God.
We do.
We do. Okay.
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
Okay.
So and Mill Iron.
Okay. Can I talk? Is it my turn?
It sure is. Have at it.
Okay. So between the buildings A, B, and C, we are proposing to infill that area that's approximately 15 feet wide with a 1-story structure that would be it's kind of a rec room and exercise room with a bathroom facility, a single bathroom. We have brought that to the state of Ohio to a plan examiner for a preliminary code review, and he's given us directions that we just need to maintain a 2-hour rated wall separation between those units. We don't have to sprinkle it. Each one of those, I think I have listed as about 700 square feet. The addition itself is, I think, 630. I've included a deck out front that's 5 feet wide plus the stairs, and that comes to about 700 square feet. The second part was to construct roofs over the existing decks, the decks that the people use to enter their units, and that the new roofs themselves, even though it's an existing footprint, would be 5,078 square feet. We're also proposing to add balconies. I listed a number 4 feet wide by 12 foot long. That would be the maximum size. That can always be made smaller or not quite as long if we need to deal with lot coverage. And when the owner has already started to remove the existing window and put in a double French door with a railing. We have a state building permit on 80% of that work. We still need to get one for buildings D and E. And let me see, make sure I got everything. So we have So we have the new infill. We have proposed roofs over the existing entrance decks. We have the balconies and French doors. And so that's the gist of the project.
Would any members like to ask questions at this point?
I just want to make sure, based on the communication we've received, that I'm clear on all the potential issues associated with this. So the way I understand it, the rear setback would be encroached, and the lot coverage exceeds what's permitted on the lot now. And we need to have some utility easements recorded that were not recorded, and some flood proofing done for electric meters and air conditioner units. Does that capture kind of the issues?
Thank you, Christy. That sounds good. Any others?
Yeah, I talked about that.
No, I would like to hear from Director Riggs, having looked at this communication, and get your thoughts and have you weigh in on it.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Thank you, Mayor. Let me share my screen here if I can.
Oh, big time.
I printed off that email for you.
So here is, I don't know if you guys can see this. Here is the kind of a plan view, and I wanted to just to explain a little more. When this was originally approved in 1991, they assumed that this line was going to be the front yard, and these are the front of the buildings here and here. And so they considered this area and this area to be the rear yards for this PUD. And what a normal R3 requires a 40-foot setback from the property lines, and they allowed them a narrower setback in this location and in this location. It's an odd-shaped lot to be able to allow this development to go in. The applicant is asking to add some decks in this area back here. I think there's one deck for each one of these, and these are three. These are three units in each building, so there'll be 9 additional decks added back in this 15-foot rear yard setback. Additionally, let me show you here. This is where they added the doors. They replaced windows and added doors in building. This is building A. But in 1994, as these buildings were under construction, the city contacted the, at that time, property owner, indicating that this is all in a floodplain, and these units here and the electrical panels on all of these buildings are located in the 100-year floodplain. And I think even to this day, they're still required to either be flood-proofed or moved out of the 100-year floodplain. This issue has been around since the buildings were under construction back in 1994, but I don't think anything's been done since then. And then I did note that there was a 41% lot coverage. That was incorrect. Actually, it's the total lot coverage. From our calculations, the maximum total lot coverage, or the green space area, they're allowed to have 60% coverage on the lot, and with these additions, it'll make it actually 63%. If you look, let me pull this up. I took a picture of this today. This is building 1 here, and these are 10 and 12-foot decks that were added on at some time in the past. Those do not show up on the drawings, and if you include these deck areas in here, that's another. I think Richard said 5,000 square feet. So that's another 5 or additional coverage that should be added in there. And if you add that in, you end up with over 60% coverage. So you only have 40% green space, or less than 40% green space. That is my comments.
David, could you tell me, are those decks proposed to be cantilevered, or are they going to be on the ground? Be out the window? How are they going to get them up to the levels?
They have not given us details on that yet. I would assume that they'll be cantilevered.
Okay. Christy, did we get the answers to your questions? Most of them.
Yeah, I think so. I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing that I was missing. But you're saying with the rear setback, they were already granted a significantly smaller rear setback than what normally would be in place in a similarly zoned area, but this will encroach even on that smaller setback. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I do have one more question. It's really, would the neighboring units or owners be notified of this, since there is a change of substantial significance?
I don't believe we contact, for this kind of a development, I don't think we contact the adjacent property owners.
Okay, because it's pretty, okay. All right. Any other, Mayor, did you get the answers you were looking for?
I did. Thank you, David.
I'm online now.
RJ, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Been there, done that. RJ, you're taking over for you?
Why don't you continue? You sound like you're doing great.
Oh, you'd have to be here. Okay. All right. So any other questions or issues we want to discuss on this matter? Will you, David, please give us a synopsis of what happens next after this communication is offered?
Sure. If you have any advice for the appellant, you would maybe offer that at this time, but they'll go ahead and provide additional information for us, and we'll be able to meet at a future date and make a determination on whether that would be that proposed revision would be approved. You'd make a recommendation, then those changes wouldn't necessarily have to go to City Council for final approval.
Okay, that's very helpful. So in other words, we are gathering information now, asking questions. On that note, is there anyone else who has a question for David or for the appellants?
This is Richard. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't have a question so much as sort of a recommendation that, given the existing nonconformities related to not just the setbacks and lot coverage, but especially to the recording of the easements and the flood proofing of those utility elements, I would want to see a good faith effort to address those things, certainly.
Good points, everyone. Thank you. Anyone else? Mayor? Service Director? Oh, I'm sorry.
Not a question. I just want to see if Mr. Schultz has any other input that he wants to put into this project.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple things here. One is I need to go back and look at the floor plans of the drawings that I have, because I thought the drawing I submitted, the roofs were over the deck, but I can see it might have been over part of the existing roof, so I need to verify that. And if the decks are not included, for David here, I'm coming up with lot coverage of total lot coverage of 51,777 approximately, versus the 51,487. Does that seem about in the ballpark, David?
Yes, that's that. So that ratio then would exceed 60%. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by about 300 square feet.
Yes.
Just under 300.
Yeah.
Just over 300 square feet.
Yeah, if I could just make a note here, just real quick, on behalf of the appellant, those 60% lot coverage came about after 1991. So that was not a requirement back in 1991 to have a maximum of 60% coverage over the lot. They only required at that time 40% building lot coverage, and they are well under that.
Okay.
Other questions?
Is this something that would be grandfathered in?
Oh, RJ, hang on.
Yes. Is this something that would be grandfathered in then, is what you're suggesting, or?
Yeah, for the lot coverage is something you could consider. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
RJ, to clarify that question, though, for utilities related to the floodplain issues, that is not a grandfather status. That was this has been a violation that's been existing since construction,
Okay.
and so remedying of that would be important.
Thank you, Paul.
Duly noted.
Do you have any questions?
RJ, anything else?
Yes. No, thanks.
It's okay. Anyone else? Christy?
This is Richard again. Is there something else I need to provide besides what I've just talked about?
Maybe clear some drawings, with an indication might be helpful too. It was very hard for me personally I'm a map person, and I was not excited by the plans we were submitted. Wasn't before, and even less so now. So maybe a title and other things like that would be helpful.
Okay,
Picky.
I understand.
Anybody else? Mayor? Service Director? RJ? Christy?
I'm good.
We're good.
Okay. So we have a number of other things we'd like to see. Do we have them? Anyone else adding something? Christy, you had the large number of questions. Anything?
Well, all these things that were noted in the memo that David sent out about this, I just want to make sure that the applicant is addressing those things.
Absolutely.
When we come together.
Okay. Before it's on the agenda again. Okay. So then are we ready to move on? Anyone? We don't take a vote, right? Because it's...
No, just communication.
Just a communication. Okay. Communication's good. Next thing is the rezoning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks, David.
Okay, are we all done? All right. Now we're going on to rezoning.
Sure. And Paul, would you please put up, share screen, the map that everyone on the Planning Commission should have?
I don't have it. Of Cam?
Just so everyone has a point of reference as to what we're talking about.
Who's talking?
I'm looking for it.
Okay, while you're looking for it, there was a request that came forward for the rezoning of an area just south of Stimson Avenue. Basically, it's between where the Sonic property, which is on the south side of Stimson Avenue, from the edge of that property there, you can see the image, all the way west up to Elliott Street. And it's currently abutting an M1 zone. The company that has the use of the former Atco building came to us and was interested in having that rezoned. The Jackie O's Tap Room, Mr. Art Ostrike has been contacted. He is also interested in having the zoning changed to M1 since they are manufacturing beer. And then we also drew in, because it fit and it fits with the comprehensive plan, is the tanks. Thank you, Paul. The tanks, I call them the BP gasoline field. I don't know what the name of it is, but anyway, so that's the area. The AMVETS, Paul, if you would kind of pass on down and circle around that everyone can see, it's between the Jackie O's Tap Room, this brewery, and the ATCO building. They have been notified and were not in objection to this potential rezoning. The rezoning would be necessary for economic development, in particular in this region, because we do see a level of economic growth with some manufacturing in this area, and in particular the operation that will be moving into the ATCO building, or the potential development of the ATCO building. And again, it fits with an abutting M1 anyway, which if you look, the larger building that you see, or the rooftop that you see on the south side of the yellow outline, that is the Athens Mold and Machine company that operates there. And they are the ones, Athens Mold and Machine, they are the ones who have a use agreement with the ATCO building, which is county property. The county is working with them with a lease option on that particular property for the ATCO building. So I'm going to open it up to questions that anybody might have on this. I should add that the property owner to the north, or the individual who owns the majority of those properties from Campbell all the way on, well, I guess that's all Campbell Drive or whatever it is, that whole area that Paul was just circling, those are by and large owned by
Stimson.
One property owner, possibly a couple property owners down there, but that individual is in favor of this as well, and will write a letter of support if that hasn't already been done.
Mayor, it's Stimson. They're between Stimson and this one.
Well, Stimson, correct. Stimson to the north. I believe that intersection, Paul, if you'd go up to where Campbell is, I know that's Campbell. Right there.
Okay, so any questions for the mayor, who seems to be well-versed in this?
I had a couple. The Sonic, is that currently, what zone would that be?
B.
At this point?
That's okay. Zoned B3, I believe.
Correct.
Okay. And then the Athens mold, that's what I'm looking at, is signified by the purple.
Correct.
M1.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, is there an advantage to including the Sonic property? Or
at this point in time, RJ, I don't believe so. And okay. I don't know that Sonic would want to be included. Certainly they would be grandfathered in as a fast food dining facility. But I think this kind of keeps things clean and in alignment with, again, the manufacturing. Everyone recalls that part of the project that became 1804 Way was established through Jobs Ohio, ODOT money. A lot of funding went into that, and it was for economic development. So again, that also fits with the area that you see encircled in yellow.
Okay. Thank you.
RJ, if I may, a little bit more, that's an interesting question about that parcel where the Sonic is. Through the comprehensive planning process, what we've identified for Stimson's, this is turning into a gateway into the community, and where the city's investing a lot of money into public improvements to their streetscape and the right-of-way and the sidewalks. We've got federal funds to help us with that coming forward in the next couple of years. the planning that we've been considering for Stimson, the corridor as a whole, is to try to shift this into a more it's got a real hodgepodge of mixes right now. It's got some fast food. It's got these residential, these single family rentals here. All this is zoned for general business.
Right.
I don't have a real description for it other than to say it seems more appropriate to kind of create this as over the long term as more of a not B2D specifically, but something similar to that, where you get more of the you get more commercial and retail and food service on the first floor, and you get the zero setback to the sidewalk. So it makes it more of a pedestrian experience, but also that we have a transition as we cross Stimson into the neighborhood, some clear transitions from R3 manufacturing, commercial, and then in a soft transition into residential. That's kind of the expectation for how this should move forward.
Okay.
So it's an interesting idea. I'm not sure that manufacturing would be the right, that type of a zoning would be the right thing for that gateway for the entrance. No offense to Sonic, they're a fine restaurant, but over the long term, I would not necessarily think that level of fast food would be the right entrance either. However, they are continuing to operate as they are into the long term, I would assume.
Okay.
Okay. Continuing on then, Christy, anything to ask about?
Paul, would you like to address this particular potential rezoning?
Sure. Yeah, we do have, the existing comprehensive plan from 2005. It talks about that area. It didn't talk about the ATCO building specifically because that was county property, and it was always assumed that the county would continue to operate that as some sort of public facility. However, the county has been looking to sell it, I believe, for the last several years and divest of that. It talked about that area kind of as a whole as what it was identified as an employment zone. But the plan didn't do a great job of getting into the details to what that meant. However, I think in light of where we are right now, I would look at an employment zone and say, how can we create opportunities for employment development within Athens and try to diversify our local economy even more, especially in light of our current situation, both with a pandemic, but also declining employment at Ohio University, at least in the next several years. This does look like an opportunity as far as a lot of investments have already been made for the North 1804 roadway, as well as easier access to the highway because of the roundabout and some ODOT improvements. So it's looking a lot better in that location. I'm sure many of you recall that Cheese Barn location sat vacant for years, decades. I can't even remember how long, until Jackie O's stepped in, and Jackie O's invested a great deal of money into this location as well. That being said, we have very little manufacturing real estate available in Athens. Most of our manufacturing has already been well developed out on East State Street. That zoning, all the south side of East State Street is in the commercial corridor, is already zoned manufacturing, but is serving mostly for retail purposes. And then the other major section where we actually have that zoning is actually like West State Street Park, which is deed restricted as open space recreation anyway. So this is a perfect opportunity. It's a ripe location in the long term, and also from an economic development standpoint, it fits well with the existing land uses.
RJ, anything else to ask? I remember you did that when we were doing corridors. You talked about this area after the old plan, before the new plan. Anything to add or question?
No, the grave marker business is a great way for the gateway too.
We'll all be there soon. No, not all of us. But I just wonder about.
No, that's good.
Think about. I guess it's a good idea, but I wonder if the front of the Atco building, so-called, formerly, there couldn't be some change there. Not necessarily, well, I don't mean to suggest it, but it does seem semi-incompatible with an intensification of the land use. Myself, I think that. But let's go on to Christy. Any questions?
Nope.
Chief? Oh, no. Safety Service Director?
All
Kyle?
acceptable. I'm good.
I know you're good, but I just want
Oh,
okay. Mayor?
Just one last thing to add to this is that it's important that we keep in mind that this whole area is probably our most useful opportunity zone, the area that has the most opportunity for an opportunity zone in the city of Athens. So again, I feel that this strongly about this fitting with that in the rezoning to become M.
I agree with you, but I would. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to ask him if we couldn't put some, oh, I don't know, some coverage of trees or something, because the backside of it isn't very attractive. And if you were going in there looking at it, well, maybe you'd say, oh, good, I can help this look better, but it looks kind of, well, it doesn't look industrial. It looks kind of neglected, in my opinion. I do the roundabout all the time. If Andy were here, I would thank him for the roundabout. But the street is good, but the visuals aren't that hot. Okay.
Nancy, I agree with you, and I understand what you're saying. It's great. I'm glad you brought that up because it allows me to have Director Hetty of Engineering and Public Works recognized we did do a lot of grubbing and invasive removal. He contracted with a company that did a lot of sprucing up of the road, what would that be? The west side of 1804 Way, and cleaned things up a little bit. Mm-hmm. There's still some trees along there, but I think that I agree with you that there could be certainly there's an opportunity to spruce it up a little bit more.
Landscape
it. Thank you.
Okay, now who is
I did want to ask. I did want to ask from the Jackie O side of Stimson, from Elliott, the corner of Elliott, down to where the grave marker business is. Those are old houses, and if you're dealing with just a couple of property owners in that section, in terms of the ambiance of the street coming in, is that something that in the future might be looked at, that could be opened up a little bit more to commercial use or green space use or things of that nature as those buildings decay?
RJ, I can certainly speak to that. Absolutely. Paul, help me out if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that everything from the Grave Memorial facility all the way on down to Campbell, and I think even across from Campbell to Elliott, are owned by one property owner.
Correct. Can everybody see my cursor? I believe it's from this property and then down at least these three. This used to be the old Hocking Valley Trading Company. I'm not sure about this property right here, as well as most of the real estate across Stimson. Those are owned by either one person or one real estate investment firm, something like that.
I didn't see your cursor, Paul, but I think everyone kind of understands what you were talking about. And so, RJ, when I have spoken to the Ohio EDA at their conference, I kind of gave a 5-minute pitch about what could happen, what Stimson Avenue could look like down in this area in particular. The owner of those properties is very interested in the future of this being significantly changed to where it could be, as Paul indicated, more of a B2D looking area where there could be some retail down below and possibly some units up above. But it could be certainly be rethought in terms of the appearance. We've also explored the north side of Stimson Avenue along the same stretch, and some things that could be done. Because the property owner that owns the majority of the south side between Elliott and Sonic also owns a number of properties on the other side of the street as well. So it's just, this is an area that's just ready for being completely overhauled. And with the Stimson Avenue project that's coming along in 2021, with the complete new roadway, with underground utilities in some areas, more on the west end of Stimson Avenue, closer to East State Street, but making this more of a complete street design. Grant Avenue is going to get the Safe Routes to Schools grant, or has it. That work is underway. So, RJ, we really are rethinking this whole area because it's, again, as I've mentioned, it's an area that is just ready to be overhauled in the future and better utilized.
Sure. Thank you.
One other thing I might add, if that's all right, RJ, it should be important to note that one of the emerging possibilities for Athens is that we could really be looking at like advanced manufacturing. And that sector, we do, because of the research that comes from Ohio University, there's an opportunity to create more advanced manufacturing sites within Athens. We have a few of those already. We've lost a few that have moved out to other areas of Athens County because we don't have available space within Athens, within the city limits for that type of manufacturing. It's not the smokestack manufacturing that a lot of us think of. I come from Youngstown, so I think of steel mills and auto manufacturing. It's a lot cleaner. It's not noxious odors and things like that are really not part of that strategy. It's also really good paying jobs. It's above the average, the median for Athens County, and it's stable employment. So those are really good sectors for us to be trying to target for expanding our economic base.
So I guess I was going to ask too then, from where you got the yellow outline around the old Atco and Jackie O's, is there a chance that might ever be expanded then out to Stimson to encompass the lines that are blue outlined at this point?
It's not something I would recommend. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Zoning is a process, so there's always a chance that zoning can change, of course, through both planning commission and a political process. However, I don't think, based on our goals with Stimson and the investments that we've made, expanding manufacturing out into frontage on Stimson doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
Especially with a residential neighborhood transitioning in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So again, this is just communication. We're not certainly not voting on anything. We will see this come up again as a case in the not too distant future. Yeah, so I guess we'll roll to, well, I'm not running the ship. Nancy, I guess we'll roll into reports. And I do apologize to everyone. I am going to, since we aren't voting on anything to where we need a quorum at this point, I am going to have to roll off in a couple of minutes here for another meeting.
Nancy, I think your mic is muted.
Do you want me to pick it up here?
Sure. That'd be great, RJ.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. Lowe, can we go ahead and go with your report first?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. Just a few things to update on this afternoon. First of which is I've been working with a large group of people around the region, around the county rather, on developing Athens County as what's called age-friendly community, which is a process through AARP. And we are diligently working through that. We've got about 30 people involved right now. Rebecca Miller from I think she's with the Voinovich School at OU. She is kind of chairing our committee right now. And we are slowly building a strategy with which to do data collection on the needs of an aging population, as well as building constituencies and stakeholders to try to get communication throughout Athens County. It's going to take a couple years, but it's a really great process. And there's a lot of good momentum towards working towards getting Athens County, as well as including the city of Athens, designated as a age-friendly community. So we're focusing on all kinds of different things, including housing, social mobility, communication, and all those type of issues, sustainability, and eventually there will be some sort of a, hopefully once we get moving through AARP, we'll have a plan in place and a strategy to consider more resources for our aging population, and making sure that we have what we need in Athens for all of us as we are going through the aging process, including myself. Other thing to note, myself and Andrew Chicky, our Deputy Service Safety Director, we've been working with the Athens Uptown Business Association to try to support them and develop strategies for allowing for more outdoor dining opportunities uptown. We're trying to work through that. We'll be giving some information to City Council on the committee on Monday to talk in more detail about that. Trying to help them out so that we create more space, because they are a lot of our uptown restaurants are limited with how many customers they can serve. A lot of people do not want to eat indoors at restaurants right now in light of the pandemic, and so we're trying to find ways to do that at least through the summer season with them. We're looking at strategies that might what are called parklets, and we have some planning documents that already encourage that. We've just never moved forward with it. Where you may substitute one on-street parking space to create an outdoor platform protected from the street, where we can create additional dining seating areas for people. Also, continuing to work on the census. We do, I think I said last time, we do have a grant we received through National League of Cities. Myself and our interns were developing a package to encourage census participation from our undergraduate off-campus student neighborhoods. Those census response rates are incredibly low, which is similar to all of the other college communities around the state and the country. However, we're trying to develop a strategy to reach all of those students who have been displaced or have graduated. And we think we've got utilizing the grant funds, we think we have a process to kind of do giveaway contests and things like that, offer them gift certificates, T-shirts, pint glasses, things like that from uptown businesses, and try to utilize them to spread the word. So that should be deploying in the next month or so. And I think I reported at our last meeting, but perhaps not, but the Regional Planning Commission did a review of the Plains zoning map, as well as the zoning ordinance that's being proposed, and the Plains plan. Comprehensive plan, and the Regional Planning Commission, we did recommend that those those documents be approved, and now it is moving back to the township trustees, and there will be, in all likelihood, we would anticipate this will be put on the ballot for people within that potential zone to district in November of this year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. Good afternoon, Mr. Riggs.
Hi, everybody. I think I've got nothing to report in addition for the Planning Commission at this time. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Were there any other questions, by the way, for Mr. Logue or Mr. Riggs? We're good there? Okay. Announcements and other business. Is there any other business to report? Is Mr. Mayor, is he already gone, or?
Yes.
Okay. If not, our next meeting will be June 18, 2020. And with the business of the Athens City Planning Commission concluded,